Hey guys, so I have been grading some of your stuff from World War One, and I am not sure where the disconnect is coming. I'm wondering if maybe you guys aren't hitting that modules button and doing some of your lessons and your reading and stuff like that, things that you don't turn in but are necessary for the course. And I want to double check and make sure that you guys understand the beginning of World War One, because if you don't understand the beginning of World War One, it's really difficult to understand the war as a whole, and it's very difficult to understand that interwar period, World War II, and even the Cold War moving forward. So I just wanted to touch base with you guys and do a little bit of a reteach here on World War One, or what we like to call the Great War. Okay. So first off, please remember we have our four main causes. Okay, this is really a big deal because so many of you just talked about, the assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand, and a lot of people do that. A lot of people say that one guy, who was assassinated. That's the big reason. That is what we like to call the spark. Okay, the thing that set the entire powder keg off. Okay, so if you think of a gunpowder keg, it's a really easy way for us to kind of illustrate this, and I'm going to show it to you a little bit later as well. Okay, but these four causes here kind of make up that powder keg. Okay, gunpowder is very explosive, but without that spark, it's not going to go off. Okay, so militarism, hopefully you figured that out by now, but that's that building up of those arms, those alliance systems. We're going to talk a little bit about this coming up next, but that's when we have our teams, right? And if you attack my team, then I'm going to attack you. And pretty much by this point in time, almost all of Europe was involved in some sort of an alliance with at least one country who was also involved with another alliance with somebody else. And so it just became a friend of a friend needs my help type of thing, which really engulfs all of Europe into World War. Okay, and then imperialism, which in my very humble opinion, just my opinion, is really the thing that sets this entire thing off, because that started that competition factor, right? So when nations after the Industrial Revolution needed more resources, and they were like, hey, I gotta get these more resources so that I can actually continue on with my productivity and my rising gross domestic product, the GDP, right? The thing that makes sure that our economy is healthy. They were like, well, we need more resources in order to fuel our economy. And that's when they went into Africa and Asia and basically took on over for the most part, right? And that started that competition between our nations, which leads to we need to build up more arms, which leads to nationalism, okay, which is my nation is better than your nation. Look at me. I'm going to praise my nation, praise my leader, right? And it's also what leads to the need, or the feeling for that need, that we have friends in case somebody attacks us, okay? So those are our main causes. So when I ask you which of the main causes, M-A-I-N capital, okay, do you think most cause World War One? I just told you my opinion, okay? It's totally my opinion. You can have your own as long as you defend it. That's the beauty of history in general, historical reasoning, okay? But anyways, that is really, really important that you understand those. I guarantee 100% this is on your final. And I have so many kids talk about the assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand, and I can't give them that credit because that is not an M-A-I-N cause, okay? So the Triple Alliance and Triple Entente, okay? I got one more on there. In 1882, Germany, Austria-Hungary, and Italy join in that alliance. It becomes known as the Triple Alliance and the Triple Entente. That is because it's French. That is Russia and Great Britain, all right, who end up joining France, okay? Russia also has an alliance with Serbia. Long story short, they both have people within their national borders called Slavic, nationally like Slavic people, ethnically Slavic. And so this ends up really splitting Europe in half. Truly, okay? Russia is having some problems, okay? And we're going to get to this a little bit later in this unit. So when something happens, okay? In fact, I forgot to put this on here, but I'll tell you what happened anyways. Russia allies with Serbia, okay? And Serbia actually fought some good old wars and won some land, okay, in the Balkans, which is this region. I'll show you. I think I have a map. I hope I have a map. If not, I will attach a map, I swear. But it's this region in southeastern Europe, okay? And they had won some successful wars, but unfortunately they had to give back some of this territory. Due to international pressures, they wanted to kind of try and keep the peace in the Balkans, which was hilarious because everybody was at war with each other. And so they decided that they would give it back very begrudgingly. But first, before they did that, they asked Russia, brother Russia, will you please help us out? You are an ally of ours, and we won this land fair and square in a war. And Russia did not want to intervene because it's going through some serious stuff right now, okay? Like civil war stuff, and it's going to change to a communist nation. I know, oh, spoiler alert, but that's coming up later in the unit, okay? So in the meantime, Serbia ends up, that's what I just talked about. See, I was totally there. They gave it up, okay? And this is going to further frustrate Serbia, who's also under Austria-Hungary's thumb, okay? Austria-Hungary has now taken them kind of as their own in their own empire. And so that's why we call that Balkan region that powder keg, okay? So the MAIN causes end up being in that region, all right, because they figure that if someone messes with one Balkan nation, okay, boom, it's going to go explode, because that's where we're having so much international tension. I hope that made sense. I'm kind of all over the place today. It's been a bad day, guys. I can't lie. But that's okay. We persevere, right? Anyways. Oh, no. This is one of my sad PowerPoints. It still has yeah, that was really sad. It's okay. You can make fun of me. Okay, so Europe had formed two major alliances, which we talked about. So basically, like I was saying, it guarantees that if one of these 6 countries, the big countries, becomes involved in a conflict, all of them are going to be there, okay? And so many of these little countries in the Balkans were constantly arguing over land, which again was fueled by that idea of nationalism. And all it would take is just that one Balkan country messing with one of these big countries for there to be a big problem. And Europe still believed that war was not even like possible, or at least in this type of a conflict, because they had so many new weapons. And they were like, oh, in fact, one of the funniest things is they thought this war was going to be super fast, because they're like, we have amazing weapons. Yeah, all these weapons do is actually, increase our efficiency of killing, but it doesn't make it go shorter, and that's because of entrenchment, which we get to a little bit later, okay? So, I forgot to take this off, but this is our idea, okay? Powder kick, Balkans, MAIN, boom, all right, if something happens. And that boom, of course, is the assassination of the Archduke Franz Ferdinand, which most of you did very well on, so I'm skimming past that part, okay? That was obviously that crazy story about Gavrilo Princip just happening to walk outside of Delhi, and he got him, all right? And his wife, unfortunately, as well. So what happens at this point? What engulfs us into war? Because this is the part that we're kind of missing as well as I'm going through some of your pieces, okay? Austria-Hungary then goes to Serbia, goes in diplomats, but whatever, gives them an ultimatum and says Austria-Hungary needs to come in. They're going to check out your government, and they're going to check out and make sure that there are no other subversive movements, all right, in their investigation of Franz Ferdinand's death. I mean, it's a big deal. He's like next in line to the throne, so I kind of get it, okay? And Germany, who of course is on Austria-Hungary's side, is like, yeah, that's what we're going to do. And then Serbia says, no, you can't come in. And basically what they wanted to do was practically take over their government, like install a what do you call that? Like a provisionary government, a temporary government. And no, Serbia was like, you can't do that. And so they couldn't agree with it. So on July 28th, 1914, Austria-Hungary, because I've abbreviated here because I hate saying it so many times, but declares war on Serbia, okay? So then what happens? Well, then Russia goes to defend Serbia because they need that Balkan region support, okay? So it starts to mobilize its troops. And Russia kind of feels a little bad because Serbia's come to them before and said, help us, help us, help us. And they're like, fine, I guess we'll help you, okay? Germany then demands that Russia backs down. And Russia knows that they had the backing of France. And if you know the map of the world, which I hope I have on here, and if not, like I said, I will definitely get that for you. But at this time, there's no buffer zone, okay? Like, Russia is there. And they're like, haha, we got you on the east side. France got you on the west. What you gonna do, Germany? Okay? And so on the 1st of August, 1914, Germany declares war on Russia. And 2 days later, then on France. And Germany's stuck literally right in the middle between them, okay? Germany begins their offensive against France, which is what I'm going to talk about next, all right, going through Belgium, which is a neutral country, okay, which further pisses off more people, but we'll talk about that later. So then Great Britain says, no, you can't do that because they're policing the world at this point, and they say, we're going to declare war on Germany, okay? So now we have the two sides facing off. The Central Powers, we got Germany, Austria-Hungary, the Ottoman Empire, which is a Muslim empire that you hopefully kind of maybe-ish remember from last semester. But they are kind of failing at life at this point. They have failed to modernize, and so they are thinking this is their last-ditch effort. They chose the wrong side, spoiler alert. So they're called the Central Powers because of their central location in Europe, in case you're wondering. And then the Allied powers are France, Great Britain, Russia, Japan, Italy, and the United States, who will join later in the war, okay? So this is the last part that I noticed that you guys were struggling with, was that Schlieffen Plan, okay? Because we have to know a little bit about it. First off, it is, you guys all, most of you told me this, that it was by the German general Alfred von Schlieffen. And it was actually created in preparation for a conflict like this. So no, the war had not broken out before, but they did in fact have a plan to fight a two-front war, okay? They don't want a two-front war. That's not good. You gotta split your resources, okay? That's your men, all of your provisions, like your food. That's also gonna be all your ammunition. It's very difficult to also get battle plans and things like that, okay? Going back and forth. It's very difficult. They don't want to do this, okay? So they're like, what we're going to do is we're going to bet on the fact that Russia, because 1 out of every 3 men who went into war in Russia didn't have a weapon, okay? That's how bad it is. They're not very advanced at this point in time. And so they're like, you know what? We're just going to hope that Russia takes a while to mobilize, and we're going to go up in through Belgium, and we're going to come down, we're going to take Paris, and we're going to have France, like, in the back. We're done with France, and then we're going to hustle our butts back on over to the Eastern Front and take on Russia, okay? So that was their whole plan. Now, what ends up happening? These are the big points that I saw that you guys missed on your piece, okay? The Germans, they were too slow. They end up attacking through that heavily fortified Belgium, and that slows the German army down. And you guys have talked about that exposure of their flank. That's very true as well, okay? They also face more resistance than they were expecting from France, from Belgium, and then Great Britain, who ends up coming to their aid as well, okay? Russia, this is the big one though, this is the kicker. Their whole plan is that Russia's going to take a while to mobilize. Russia mobilizes a lot sooner than expected, and so Germany had to end up sending divisions to the east, which ends up weakening their attack on the west. And then finally, our British forces in the north of France, which end up coming down, that's when they have that unexpected military that they're going to have to deal with, okay? So that is it. Oh, I didn't include my map. Dang it. All right, I will definitely send out a map as well so you can kind of see what Europe looks like in this time period. You can kind of look at it as you maybe listen to this. I hope that this helps a little bit, just because these were the kind of big things that I saw that you were missing in your responses for your last couple of assignments. Please let me know if you have any further questions on World War I and the beginning of World War I, and I'd love to answer them for you. Thanks, guys.